Call to order this meeting of the Committee of the Whole of the County of Annapolis. And I would like to say that I issued 3 proclamations this month. One is for Nova Scotia Heritage Day on the 21st of February, and this year's honoree is Elder Rita Joe. The anniversary of the proclamation and first flying of the Canadian flag on Flag Day, the 15th of February in the 1960s, 1965, and African Heritage Month. And so those 3, as you may have noticed when you came in, are on the wall at the gate. I would also like to call your attention to something that happened at the first meeting of the council on January 30th, 1880 in the Annapolis Royal Courthouse. And I quote, "It is ordered that no cattle run at large in the municipality during the ensuing year." Now, at the February meeting, there was something else about the running of cattle, but I won't tell you that until the council meeting next week.
Cliffhangers.
Roll call, beginning with District 1, please.
Bruce Prout.
District 2, Ryan Fuzzaconnell.
Dustin Enslow, District 3.
District 4, Floyd Burke.
Lynn Longmire, District 5.
Alec Morrison, District 6.
David Hudson, District 7.
Michael Gunn, District 8.
Wendy Sheridan, District 9.
Brad Redden, District 10.
District 11, Diana Blas.
Thank you. Disclosure of interest. Hearing none, we will move to approval of the order of the day. Are there any changes or amendments? Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. In the in-camera, I'd like to add personnel, please.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, we need to schedule an extra session for contract negotiation at 1:30.
Today.
In camera.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the order of the day as amended? Councillor LeBlanc, Councillor Longmire, discussion. All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried. The minutes. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Thank you. Correspondence. There are 2 items of correspondence.
Did you receive this information?
Any discussion on the correspondence? Thank you. We have it. You have it. We will move to staff reports, please. Starting at page 12, Deputy Warden.
I move that municipal council amend AN-1.2.1 designation for warden, deputy warden, and councilor's policy as revised and circulated 7-day notice.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Hudson. Discussion. Councillor Bartow.
I have asked it twice, but we can get back to the see if I had anything. That's
Page 12.
No, I just understand.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 6.2, Councillor Prout, please.
Thank you. I move that municipal council amend AM-6.6.6 signing authority policy as circulated 7 days notice.
Thank you. Second. Councillor Sheridan. Discussion. Councillor LeBlanc.
On page 20, section 5, 1, we have two categories of either would be the warden, deputy warden, and one of the following CAO, deputy CAO, clerk, and treasurer. Question: if the warden and the deputy warden are not available, does that automatically go to 2 from staff? It's 2. Okay, so it doesn't matter which 2 at that point, or is it the 2 first?
I'm sorry,
I just wonder.
I didn't answer that.
It talks about a little further where we might do, but yes, essentially if they're not available, then it could be 2 staff people that sign.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't necessarily, it could be any of the 4.
Okay.
But the deputy warden and I have an agreement. We won't fly in the same airplane at the same time. And we will do our utmost to ensure that both of us are not outside the county boundary. Councillor Cotw.
I have a question about, I didn't see it in there, and it may be in here, so I may be corrected, but electronic transfers. Does a copy of that, you don't sign electronic transfer, so you do. So you have a record of what's being paid electronically. And that was my concern. I didn't know if you had a view of that, like you do the checks.
Yes, and the way it happens is I've asked the CAO to have a few highlighted. So I look at those, and then I look at something else, and I ask for, I don't know, a few dozen questions.
Yeah, I just wondered if, because sometimes it was lost in the previous years that, we didn't understand this and we paid that much money. Because we never had no records, it was done electronic.
No, I provided with at the meeting a big list.
All's good.
Deputy Warden.
Honestly, I was really happy with this report. I thought it was a very nice. This came before us a couple of months ago, and we had some questions. And the way staff has taken it back and come back with a very comprehensive review to address a lot of our concerns that were not necessarily explicitly articulated. This is a very nice, elegant solution. I'm very happy with this.
Thank you. Thanks to the CEO and staff. Councillor Hudson.
Just one brief comment. In respect to signing checks or whatever, I guess it's always been my experience that there's a very, very rare exception where something is that timely, that you would have to go, beyond this and just have staff sign something.
Hasn't happened yet.
No, I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Thank you. Councillor Barker.
Just clarification on page 21. Right in the notes. Section 4. It says, transfers to the designated money authorities. Upload NSP, the bank.
I'm sorry,
A second
Councillor Barker.
a second staff member with bank access. What does that mean?
After it's signed off, we have to go into that electronic system to release it.
But we have this signing portion, but then you say
Yes.
a staff member with bank access. But is that one of the persons that signed for it, or are you talking something different? Person signing for
I'm going to invite our manager of finance to come and explain that in more detail, but
Okay, so typically, if our accounts payable is uploaded in the file, it would typically be myself or the CAO with bank access to authorize it and release it. And that is after it is signed by one of the warden, deputy warden, and the other staff. So yes, they do have signed it.
So the only people with bank access are sign on.
yeah.
That was my question.
Okay, that's a different question.
Well, sort of the same.
Okay, so that's an operational question. Right now, in order to release yes. However, we do bank reconciliations and different items, so other staff have access to view the banks in order to reconcile them, but not release the funds.
It's just the way this is working. Shouldn't be a second funding officer, no second member having bank access. I was just a little confused on that.
At this point, it's already been authorized by one of the deputy warden and warden, or one of the signing officers anyways. So, I mean, it's already been authorized, but typically it would be somebody with signing authority that would release it, but in the event that they go away, perhaps, then it might be another staff member, but it has already been reviewed and signed off and authorized by those indicated in the signing authority. This is just the operational part on the bank login.
Okay, so it's nobody that is going to actually transfer anything, right? Didn't actually see anything.
No, it's an encrypted file that gets loaded into the bank. If you're wondering if it can be changed once it's been uploaded to the bank, it cannot. It's an encrypted file.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Just on the last two, I guess, the errors in the way policies are. Do I have authorization to talk to the individuals to deal with that? Because it's the way the policies are set, they go in, there's some errors. It doesn't change the meter thing, but that's why I didn't mention anything before, but well, I can just.
Oh, no, if there's an error in a policy, you should certainly bring it to our attention.
And then a corrected one can come back next week. What are the errors?
So could I ask to go back to the 6.1?
Please,
What page are we at?
12,
On page 6.
15.
It's just some of the small things, some not so. There's 2 number 7s. If you look to the attachments, it looks like the first number 7 should have been part of 3.2 related to that. And anyway, the amendment on page 17 indicates that this is part of 3.2. You use it as a first 0.7. So there's a bit of a tempo where there's about trying to fix it in here and never got it corrected.
It might have staff review remembering that.
Also, on page 17, pending, it says page 64, which means 64 has report 6. And then the next one down says 404, so we will have to do 406 as well.
Those, once all the changes are made, that all falls out. It all comes out. Sometimes when a report is given to me and I have to PDF it to circulate, sometimes those page weirdness things happen. We will circulate the actual one for your approval next week.
Because if somebody looks at that, it starts referencing they're going to be not looking to the right spot.
You'll see that
That was the only
often.
reason I'm bringing it up.
You'll see it often when there's policies showing changes because the pagination changes. When you have arrows showing what's going to be included or what's going to be removed, it changes the pagination of what the final document is going to look like. So next week with those changes, it will come back and the proper ones will be part of the recommendations.
So do we rescind the approval?
No, because these are, we're not changing the policy.
Thank you.
Were there others, Councilor
Yes,
Barton?
there's others. You can go on to the signing authority policy,
Page number?
18. So it goes down to the next steps. It looks like that was cut and pasted in from the previous policy. It wasn't amended because it's still referring to AN 1.2.1. It should be to AN 6.6.6.
Oh. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's in the room.
Another one, just the bottom pages, page 3 of 3, well, there's more than 2 pages, so. You've already.
Sorry?
What page?
Okay.
Page 22. So, we can just get some of those corrections. And then the only other item this one, previously mentioned, staff member with bank access. I think we've got enough signing officers to do that, and have another person with that responsibility.
Thank you. For your vigilance. We're now on 6.3 sewer charges bylaw amendment. Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes.
I move that municipal council give first reading to amend N10 sewer charges bylaw by deleting in brackets .9 and then in brackets again in numeric .9 in subsection 2 bracket 2 bracket C and replacing it with 5 bracket 5 first reading.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Gunn. Discussion.
So it used to be 9.
Point to point.
.9. And we're lowering it to .5.
No,
I think we're increasing it to
increasing it.
Why don't I invite our Minister of Finance to explain it?
It was, this is for the capital replacement for our sewer system. This is a capital allocation that goes to our reserve to fund our future capital budgets. It was 0.9%, and we're amending it to be up to 5% to give some flexibility in the capital replacement. And then next year, when we review hospitals entirely, this will be formalized into what we actually need for capital replacement. We modeled this after the Bridgetown sewer bylaw, where we are recovering capital replacement of up to 5% per quarter. So it's still substantially lower.
That's what I said. It's lower. When in this world has anything ever gone down?
Of course. All stand up and say, hooray!
But I guess if we're gonna do a sewer review, and it's gonna come back with hopefully the correct amount that we have to take out of the citizens to cover their cost, I just hope that we're not dropping it and gonna lose money to that point.
I'll invite our Minister of Finance to get a comment and answer.
Just a point of clarification, we're increasing it in the county rate bylaw. It is lower than what we currently recover for capital replacement with the Bridgetown utility. Does that clarify? We're going from 0.9% to 5% in the county bylaw.
Councillor Allman.
Thank you. Back just a couple of sentences ago, I think I heard you say that it was going from 0.9 up to 5. Is it going to 5 or it could go up to 5?
Up to 5. As a point of reference, in the capital budget, we typically contribute about $300,000, and that was based on 1.92% that was billed out last year for capital replacement. So this is revising our bylaw to go up to 5%, but not that we will for sure be billing 5%. We just need a little bit of further analysis, and 0.9 has been identified as being far too low for capital replacement. Perfect.
Councillor Sheridan.
So in regard, you mentioned billing. Normally this time of the year, we have a rate set for the sewer. Is that coming next month or is that?
Yes, the rate setting will follow this modification, and then will be within the bylaws bill.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Bartlett.
I'm just wondering the process when we're doing a review of the S4, is there going to be stuff on this that won't be amended again? Coordinated?
No, that bylaw essentially stands alone, but we'll make sure that we talk about that in the workshop or we present that to council.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 6.4, ICIP agreement execution, Church Street Sewer Main Extension. Councilor Hudson, please.
I move that municipal council authorize the warden and clerk to execute the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program agreement for the Church Street Sewer Main Extension.
Second? Councilor. Oh, sorry, Enzo. Thank you. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5, animal control, town of Middleton. Councilor Thomas, please.
I recommend that municipal council authorize a renewal of the short form agreement with the town of Middleton to be signed by the warden and the municipal clerk for a 5-year term for animal control with the town of Middleton starting April 1st, 2023, ending March 31st, 2028.
Thank you. Second? Councilor Longmire. Discussion. Councilor Gunn.
Thank you so much. Animal control. So we're entering into a 5-year agreement. Are we still into collecting cats and dealing with cats and dogs in Annapolis County? That's what I would ask you through you, sir.
I'd like to let Cheryl Mason answer in detail.
We are not collecting cats at this time. We're still dealing with bylaw enforcement of it. So if we get a complaint, we're still dealing with cats. And we've always been picking up dogs when it's in the shop.
And that's what this agreement with Middleton and Annapolis Royal is to pick up their dogs.
It is.
Okay, okay, thank you. And I've got another question for you.
Please,
thank you
go
so
ahead.
much. So we're, what we get, $15 a day boarding fee. If we pick a dog up, Annapolis County picks a dog up in Middleton or Annapolis, doesn't matter, and we charge them $15 a day boarding fee. What does that cost us? So we're not making money, we're losing money on picking up these animals. That's what I'm essentially asking. It doesn't cover it. Thank you so much.
The person had his hand up, but hold on.
Councilor Thomas, please.
So if we're paying, taxpayers in Annapolis County paying for 2 dog enforcement or law enforcement officers, how much do we get for allowing our officers to award their wages per year from doing the Middleton thing?
I'm going to like this rest again.
So there is an amendment in the documents that we didn't have before. Now we are specifically charging the towns an administrative fee, which covers the cost of our officers for dealing with their employees. So before we didn't charge the town itself $75. Now we are charging for every event as a separate, other than the cost of picking up the animal and then dealing with the animal. We are now requesting that we actually charge them administrative.
So going back to my question, the money we collect, is it going against their wages, or we having the taxpayers cover 100% of cost, and we're giving the service to the town of Middleton? And I'm gonna ask the same question for a town now as well. If we're not gaining anything to pay toward our employees, then why are we in the agreements?
Exactly. Ms. Mason, do you want to elaborate on your answer?
So the administrative fee is to offset the cost of our officers for their time and their wages.
So we will see that on our capital budget, how much, or on our annual budget, how much is paid toward the rate of our 2 bylaw officers from the contributions from the 2 towns.
Yeah, we can put, yeah. Do you want to,
Because otherwise, the same question comes back is, why are we doing it? If our taxpayers are paying 100% for the wages for our 2 employees, why aren't some of their wages being paid if we're doing the town of Middleton and the town of Annapolis Royal? If we're not getting anything against our wages for our 2 employees, we should not be in it. If it's breaking even, we shouldn't be in it. Why should I take some of my tax money or my constituents and pay for an outside municipality to have free use of our employees?
And facility.
And facility.
So, Manager Finance, you seem to be nodding. I'll confirm we can break it out on the operational budget. And Ms. Mason, do you want to comment further? Is your estimates, are we breaking even? Do you think it's more than less than that? Can you clarify your answer for the councillor?
$75 per event is certainly well over what our cost is for that officer for his time. And then there are the fees that are also collected for keeping the animal in the pound. So that fee is also taken a jump. So I believe we are recovering our costs.
I have a question. How many people are involved with an event?
Depending on the type of event it is, generally it is one officer that comes out.
Does that officer receive the telephone call?
Yes,
So you yourself have no involvement?
I don't do the animal control.
No, I know that, but do you devote any time to this?
No.
Okay.
I would say that's.
Councilor Sherry?
So in regards, I'm following up on Councilor Connell. In regards to the $75, we're going to be locked into a 5-year term for $75, no increases per year. And that's question 1. Question 2, is there a vehicle involved with wear and tear on the vehicle, mileage, and all of that? Because to me, that seems very low, the $75.
If I may, I'll go through this just a little bit, kind of clarify what we're doing. So the administrative fee is per event. So every time they get a call to go to either Annapolis or Middleton to do their event, we're charging a $75 fee each time. Plus, the complainant will also be charged a $75 fee for staff time. We do have the impound fees, which we collect. And the travel costs are also in the fees that are charged back to the person who owns the animal. So we calculate it based on right now it's 61 cents per kilometer. So they get charged the fee of us driving to Middleton to deal with it, take her to the pound. So all of that is included in the fee when a person to retrieve their animal.
But it's not going to increase over a 5-year period with the price of gas, with the...
The way it is worded, we don't have 61 cents in there. What we have is the mileage to respond to a complaint, whether it's taken to the pound or not, is at our mileage rate. So if our rate changes, it would then also, or could change
not just the mileage rate, but the $75. Is that not going to increase the base rate of $75 in 5 years? It's still going to be $75 today, and 5 years down the road, it's still going to be
For
$75.
the last 10 years that we've been dealing with this, and the times that we've reviewed this contract, we never had that fee at all. So this is definitely an increase in the monies that we'll be receiving, but it is certainly up to the members to determine if you think we need to make that a larger number. But they've never paid any base fee before. Staff's consideration was, is $75 so reasonable for each event where they were paying?
Today it does, but maybe next year it may not, and we're going to be locked into this. I'm just wondering if it should be yearly, come back and looked at yearly, if the rate should be 75 this year and possibly 80 next year, 85 the next year, but we're losing out on an opportunity if we lock it in for 5. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Councillor Gunn?
Thank you so much. $75 for the administration fee, and now and mileage added onto that. And I see there's another $20 fee in here or something like that. So we pick up an animal. This is all hypothetical. We pick up an animal at Annapolis Royal or Middleton, and that animal isn't claimed by anybody. Now we have a dog or a dog, for say, in our pound that is not being picked up. Now, let's just say we keep that dog for a while from Annapolis or Middleton, and we discover, my God, it's got diphtheria or something, and that animal's got to be put down. Now that animal is put down. Who's covering those costs? If it's not picked up, by the owner, those fees aren't reclaimed, who covers that cost? Is it the taxpayer of Annapolis County?
If it came from the town of Middleton, the town of Annapolis, all those other costs that are not paid by the owner of the animal will also be charged back to the municipal unit.
To the municipal unit, Annapolis or okay.
Annapolis Royal.
Annapolis
Or
Royal.
Middleton. It's in the middle.
Councillor O'Donnell?
Well, okay. Well, I think this is a lot better than what we had the last time because the extra charges do cover a lot more. However, I'll go back to the same comment, and I have the same comment as Councillor Sheridan. If we're locked into 5 years, to me, it seems to be a long time. Having said that, why isn't it possible that the municipal units can't share costs of our people that we're having at the same time? So I had those questions the last time this was brought up, and I still have those same questions. But it is a lot better. So thank you, Cheryl. Maybe we should have
Councillor
an amendment.
Pardon me, what, I didn't get
The last bit, I said maybe we should have an amendment to the motion.
Councillor Bartle, thank you.
Whether or not we agree with the fees, we got an additional question. And it says that fees to be collected prior to when the animal is returned to the owner. So what if the owner doesn't want it back? We're stuck with those fees plus any other fees to look after or to dispose of that animal after the fact that can run into one. I don't think that's covered in the law.
Cheryl, do you want to elaborate on your answer for that, for the council?
So with the town, all expenses will be covered because the town will be invoiced if the owner doesn't get the animal, right? So all of those costs that we would normally have given to the owner because they don't come forward, we can recover from the town. If the dog has to be moved off to another rescue agency because now we own the dog, we have agreements with several agencies that would be willing to take the dog. In fact, we just delivered two to another rescue agency. They did not charge us.
Sorry, I missed that policy. There is a
The note. The note.
note
Yes.
that, outlines that agreement there.
Councillor Hudson?
Yes, I would like to make an amendment to that motion. And simply my amendment would be to add at the end of it, and to review the fee structure and
Is there a second for that proposed amendment? Somebody? Councillor O'Donnell?
Right.
You want to add more?
Add more
We would add more, but that would be,
amendment
Maybe
to the
go
amendment.
to the amendment.
well, let's vote on this one first.
Was there a seconder?
I
On the
would-
amendment?
Councillor
Yes.
O'Donnell. You can read.
Councillor Hudson moves, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, to amend to add to review the fee structure annually.
If we're going to agree the fee structure annually, why do we have a 5-year agreement? If we're just gonna renegotiate everything.
That's what it should be.
No, if I might say, there are agreements in government and businesses.
There are differences there, but.
Okay. Any other comments on the amendment?
Our manager of finance, if she wants to comment, may be able to help you with the annual adjustments. Did you want to comment on that, Angela?
Yeah, just to make it something that is more attractive that the towns might agree to, just a suggestion for your consideration. Maybe instead of an annual review of fee structure, maybe we put something in there for an adjustment of cost of living. So, in our budget, we would approve a percentage for cost of living. Maybe we increase our rate by that cost of living annually, so that it reflects our administrative fees, because that would be reflected in salaries and benefit rates as well. That might be an attractive way to not revisit the agreement every year. Just a suggestion.
I'd like to comment that what we call cost of living really bears no resemblance to the cost of living. None at all. It is a misnomer. And the second thing I'd like to say is that people get confused a cost of living adjustment with a pay raise. A cost of living adjustment is never a raise. The second thing is, why do we do this? Do we do it because we've been doing it? And there's another. Sometime we talk about the Bridgetown sports field. We get into a discussion as well. But the municipality of Annapolis Royal, municipality of Middleton, would like us to do this. And the sense I get is we have to be sure that we are recovering every cent of every cost, including the amount it takes to determine what the cost is. And I'm wondering whether we would like to postpone the consideration of this item and the next one, and ask the staff to consider it further in light of the discussion.
I would make that motion.
If you postpone, you have to do it to a specific date.
Yes.
I would make that motion.
To postpone
To
until.
postpone decisions on both of these, I don't know what the item number is.
Until.
Until staff
Have a date, specific date.
We have to have a specific date.
Pardon?
You want it for the next,
No, we'll go to
committee
give
of
them
the
a
whole?
month, give them an extra month on top of that.
An extra month, so 2 months.
2 months from now. April committee of the whole.
Councillor Hudson?
I guess I just want to ask where my motion,
Yes.
where that stands.
It's in purgatory.
Okay.
Is there a seconder before you send?
I'll second it.
Councillor Sheridan, and you're discussing Councillor Gunn's motion.
I think so.
Okay.
It's all kind of mixed up here. I just wanted to ask, is there a term that a dog is boarded for? Like, does it end?
No, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. That's not on Councillor Gunn's motion. Councillor Gunn's motion is to postpone.
Oh, okay. Well, then I have a comment that I want to make before my vote.
But the only comments that may be debated are to the time.
Okay. I'll talk later.
Deputy Warden?
I think we should only postpone it 1 month, because our budget and their budget would have implications on that. It'd be good to have this done before budget. My sense that that's why it's here now. If it expires at the end of the fiscal year, it makes sense that it should be, we should approve it for presentation to them for their fiscal year.
Now, in our system of government, the Deputy Warden has made a statement.
God knows.
Is there any other discussion? Well then, Councillor Fleming.
If you deem it's in order, I would make an amendment to Councillor Gunn's motion to have it for 1 month and have it come forward in a month's time, not 2.
Thank you.
For our deliberations.
So
I would make
come
that
to
motion.
March committee.
Yes, to March.
Is there a seconder for that, Councillor Longmire? Discussion on that, on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We now vote on the motion. If when the clerk is ready, she could read it, please.
Motion as amended reads to postpone items 6.5 and 6.6 to March committee of the whole.
Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 1. Motion carried. I thought this was you asked for.
I thought that was better than the previous. I opposed both.
There you go.
Okay, we are now at 6.7, release of fire capital reserve, Middleton Fire Department, Councillor Cotw, please.
It's from page 65, I think.
65.
I move that the municipal council authorize the withdrawal of $31,115 from the capital fire service reserve fund for the fire department, Middleton Fire Department, to purchase 4 self-contained breathing apparatuses.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Bartow. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now at 6.8, which is on page 71. King's Transit Authority Deficit Funding 2021-2022. Councillor LeBlanc, please.
I move that council authorize the payment of the deficit from 2021-22 fiscal year for the adjusted financial statement in the amount of $78,623 from the operating reserve.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cotw, discussion. Councillor Connell, followed by Councillor Hudson.
So some of the increase is due to the cost of fuel and their insurance.
And cleanup. And repairs.
Fuel was a big thing, but I'd like to invite our manager of finance to go through their list of their biggest changes for the year.
The biggest changes were with vehicle fuel. They budgeted at half of what it ended up being. It was about 73 cents a liter budgeted. Diesel was well over, we hit around $2. The vehicle repairs and maintenance, they indicated that based on the level of service that they provide, it's not per se a procurement strategy. They just get the repairs done, so sometimes it costs a little bit more to keep the buses going. Increase in insurance costs as well, and then the management fee was actually the largest impact, and that is what they have recalculated and gone back 2 years. We are getting a credit for the prior year, in which we, based on their recalculation, we overpaid, and then we got rebate as well on the current deficit, so it represents our share, our proportionate share of the deficit.
Councillor Hudson?
Yes. Is that expense accrued in our 2022-23 financial statements, or will it be?
This was relative to the prior year, the 21-22 fiscal year that deficit relates to, and yes, it has been accrued in those financial statements. So it's not an expense in the current fiscal year.
It's the 21-22.
Yeah.
Was it reflected in that year?
Yes, it was reflected. It was accrued in the 21-22 fiscal year. Yes.
So moving forward with our budget for 22-23, it seems like every year Kingston Transit has a deficit. So how are we going to implement, or are we going to implement extra so we're not in the deficit?
Typically, when we would get their budget, they have a forecasted deficit included. So yes, definitely that will be factored in this year, so that we will not be coming back asking for additional funds next year unless it's significantly higher than expected.
So it wasn't in the past? Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Councillor Gunn, please.
Thank you so much. I'm looking at the numbers, and I have a terrible time with numbers. They always fall me up a little bit. Trying to justify from one year to the next. So my question is quite simple. What is the average that we are subsidizing our bus system a year? Is it 70,000 a year? Is it 600,000 a year in our bus services cost? And what's it actually costing Annapolis County a year?
The capital costs, so our buses specifically, we own our buses. So we pay 100% of the capital bus costs, including fuel and maintenance related to our buses, because the county now owns those buses operated by Kings Transit.
Okay. So that's not, thank you very much for that. That's really not answering my question. What I'd like to know is how much a year are we, the citizens of Annapolis County, paying for bus service? Subsidizing or paying? I don't care if we're subsidizing it. Are we getting any revenue? No. We're getting very little revenue. We're basically subsidizing a bus service for Annapolis County.
They are essentially contracted service for us. So yes, it is just a cost to us. We don't collect revenues. They collect the revenues. And our proportionate share is based on ridership. So in 2021, our ridership was 26.92%. And in 2022, our ridership is 25.5% of all the participating municipalities.
I'd like to remind colleagues that we are debating whether we are going to pay this bill.
Yeah, okay, and I'll leave it there. Thank you.
And you can come in later.
Yeah, sure. I'll bring it in budget.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.9, 22-23 tax sale procedure. Councillor Enzel, please.
I move that council authorize pursuant to the section of 141, bracket 2, bracket, of the Municipal Government Act that all tax sale properties for its 2022-2023 process be advertised by tender.
Thank you. Seconded by the Deputy Warden. Discussion. Councillor Gunn.
There's nothing quite like going to an auction. It's not, and everybody always spends a little more at an auction. Tax sales every year, I didn't realize till a few years ago that the monies we make from tax sales goes into a special account for 2020. And whether that money ever comes back to the person, well, they'd have to apply. One thing and another. But anyway, no, I'm not. I would like to have the old-fashioned auction again. Because now we're over the COVID. We blamed a lot of things in the world of stuff because of that sickness they had a few years ago. And anyway, I'd like to see you go back to auction. Thank you. That's all I have to add.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 1. Thank you. We now move to 6.11. Sorry, 6.10. Park Trust termination, 7 Park Street. Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you. I move that municipal council direct staff to hold a public meeting on March 21st, 2023 at 11 a.m. in council chambers regarding the termination of a land trust dated December 13th, 1887 that declared that the present 7 Park Street, Bridgetown lands were to be used for the purposes of a public park for the citizens of Bridgetown for their use forever.
Thank you. Second? Councillor Sheridan. Discussion. Councillor Sheridan, please.
As mentioned in the report, Bridgetown already has many parks, so I have no problem whatsoever supporting it.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6.11, strategic plan adopt. Deputy Warden, please. Page 107.
I move that municipal council adopt the 2023 strategic plan for the municipality of the county of Annapolis as presented.
Thank you. Second. Councillor Prout. Discussion. Councillor Cotw.
I'll be voting against the adoption of the strategic plan on a couple bases. For one, we had a round table and gave suggestions that we thought should be within the strategic plan. We never got an updated version of that or anything was taken into consideration what we said. So I feel like we sat here, had our little workshop, did our discussion, and what happened? Point. Is that like in a cloud? Is that like a computer cloud?
I'm wondering, Councillor Connell, we had, I don't know if this was the meeting you weren't able to attend.
No,
You were here. Okay, one, good.
But also, so I won't be supporting passing it today. I also consider that I would like to see the new CAO in place and have at least a chance to read it over to see if we're going to handcuff into any ideas or her on what they would like to see in the strategic plan. We're putting the cart ahead of the horse by many roads. Also, we got a 4-page overview of our strategic plan in our top part bit. Under the resolve areas in our package that we got, under 4 key result areas. Key 1, that organizations had 4 goals. Financial responsibilities had 7 goals, but there's only 4 in the package in our system today. Under growth responsibilities, there were 6, and there's only 5 in our package today. So are those other goals that were in our original package in the cloud, or were they mistakenly forgot? Also, under outside relations in our packet, there was 2 goals, and now all of a sudden we got 5 goals. So communicate what we're getting and what you're giving us to at least look the same. So I will not be voting for this to be passed.
Let me answer. So when you reviewed that, the copy you have includes the items, the changes that you made as a group.
This copy didn't, because this is the copy I got when we discussed it.
But when we reviewed, we went through those 4 pages related to each of the 4 main things, and council reviewed it and made changes. So the copy in your package today includes the changes that you made. So does that make more sense?
It's only 4 pages of the whole thing. And what happened to the other suggestions? Didn't get anything to come back and review the difference between them. Now you're just saying is somewhere along the line we made an agreement to add some of these goals to a different group, and we took some away because one's got over 3 that wasn't in this plan, and the other ones are under to what was in this plan. But we've never gotten an update to look at the goals and the reasons behind the goals. We're still working off the package that we got before we went into the meeting that day.
My interpretation of the meeting we had was that we wanted it simplified. We didn't want to include everything that's in that other package you have there for various reasons, and that we decided to do what the CAO and staff have done is to give room for people to work and not list every darn thing they wanted us to do, but we used the 4 as a strategic. That's what I thought we did.
But I thought we were going to get an updated copy to see what we got other than getting it and saying adopted.
Okay.
We don't know what they took out. We don't know what we do. We want to sit here and cross-reference everything. But we didn't, what I'm saying is we didn't even get a report back. All we got is a report back to adopt. And secondly, I honestly think that if when a new CAO is put in place, I think they should have at least the first month to read this over and come back and say, yes, I'd like it, I'd like to go forward with it. Otherwise, we're holding his or her hands on saying, here's a strategic plan, we want you to follow it.
Thank you. Councilor O'Donnell.
As much as I do agree, but that is, this document is a moving target. We will be changing this no matter how many times. It's not something that, it's not a document that's set in stone. It's a starting point, and then as the years go by, you might change different strategies to adopt into our strategic plan so that it works better, depending on the CAOs, depending on council that would be sitting here. So I'm not saying that the councilor's points are not valid. However, this will always be moving. So we have to keep that in mind.
Councilor Sheridan, please.
I tend to agree with Councilor Cotw in regards to the new CAO getting put in position. I think if we have to hold off a couple months to adopt this, look how long we've been. We've been without one for years. So a couple more months or a month, I have no idea. I don't think that would be an extreme measure to ask. So I'd like to make an amendment that we Wait until the new CAO is in position before we adopt.
So that's not an amendment.
That's a whole new motion?
You're postponing.
Postponing? Okay, so can I just say I'd like to postpone this?
You'd like to make a motion to postpone.
Could I make a motion to postpone this until the new CAO is in position?
Yes. Councillor Dunn? Councillor Dunn? Oh. Discussion. The word
Requires a specific date and time.
Yes. I don't have a specific date and time because we haven't. I said when the new CAO is in position.
Table.
All right.
So we can't.
Okay, here we go. Solution number 2. You're making a motion to table this. Right?
Apparently, because I can't put a time because I do not know the time.
Good.
So I will make a note to myself to bring it back when the new CAO is in position, and I will put it on the agenda at that time.
But are you making a motion to table
Yes.
this? Thank you.
Until the new CAO is in.
Can I say it that way?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just tabling.
Let's table it until the new CAO is in position. Let's do it politically correct.
Until the new CAO is in position.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilor Bartow, second. Discussion. Vote on the amendment to table. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Yes. Can we do this again, please? All in favor?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in favor, 5 against. The motion is carried. We'll take a very short break, please.
She can say that until the new CAO is in position. It's just, you don't have to. She should have.
That's why I was nervous.
Until the new CAO. So which.
No, I was sitting back, trying to remember the rules.
Yes, so if it's simply tabled, without anything, I don't do anything, but this gives me a timeline.
I see, I
Yeah, it's awesome, isn't
We're zooming it along. Always got the big camera. Anyway.
In that instance, we should charge you a fee.
I think we missed something. But you'll have to
Well, we're going to friends on the weekend because I didn't think it was.
Not really sure. We did an auction.
We will now resume committee of the whole. Okay, David. You're wrong. I'm waiting for David.
You're good to go.
Could you play?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. choice of Portia White, and I would recommend that when you are with a machine that has discernible volume, that you listen to the whole song. As I mentioned, we have a proclamation. This is Nova Scotia African Heritage Month. And I want to tell you about my grade 8 teacher, Miss Alice Francis. She introduced to me a lot of things, and she spoke in one of her classes about Portia Wright and her amazing abilities and talents and the difficulties she faced in her professional career. She is a woman of historical significance in Canada. There was a stamp issued in her honor, and she was one of the folks considered to be featured on the new $10 bill. I would also suggest that you look up Marian Anderson, who is an American and who faced the same difficulties as did Portia White, but overcame them. So today we have as our first presenter Brenda Francis, who looks after the Digby, Annapolis County, and Kings County Office of the African Nova Scotia Affairs Department, and whom I first met at her inaugural event that was held in Digby a couple of months ago. And she's here today to describe some of her work. Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you, Warden Morrison. I was sitting there, you just brought tears to my eyes, and you don't... But I was looking at the pictures of Portia White's family. My ex-husband, was a grandson of Robert White, who was Portia's dad. And I saw a picture of my ex-husband's grandmother sitting there, and the photograph with all the children. Thank you for the invitation. Council members, staff, guests. As Warden Morrison said, my name is Brenda Francis. I'm originally from Digby, and now have the blessed opportunity to continue my work in supporting and advocating for the Black or African Nova Scotian community. For 23 years, I worked for the Black Educators Association. My region was Southwest, Digby to Liverpool. In this position, I get to change my geographical scope a bit. I'm now working from Weymouth, currently to Windsor, as Program Administration Officer for the Office of African Nova Scotian Affairs. So I was asked just to speak briefly about what ANZA's role is, what my roles and responsibilities are, and perhaps how I can support you and the work that you do here in Annapolis Valley. Annapolis Valley, yes. For persons of African Nova Scotian ancestry. So first of all, ANZA is a government office that speaks officially for the African Nova Scotian and Black community within government. It's the only government office designated and mandated to the needs of persons of African ancestry in all of Canada. And when we talk about African Nova Scotian, first of all, I want to say that those of us who are from historical Black communities, we consider ourselves to be the Indigenous Black members of community. Bonanza also supports immigrants, newcomers, refugees, whoever is part of the African diaspora within Nova Scotia. If we are not at the table within government, speaking to and making decisions and helping make decisions for members of the Black community, then we are not present. And I personally appreciate the involvement that ANZA has within government, because for too long, individuals have come in the community and to tell us what we need and what's best for us without consulting with us. So the way ANZA operates within government, they advise government on needs, successes, barriers for persons of African ancestry. Timeline and history. In 2003, a report was finalized and accepted on services and supports for Black Nova Scotia. That report was facilitated by Senator Dr. Wanda Thomas Bernard and Dr. Fred Wheaton. So they consulted with every Black community in the province to identify needs, to identify gaps, to identify supports and services. And that would have been around 2000. They started that process. And someone who's always been involved in community, and I had the opportunity not only to participate in my local community, but at the provincial level. So, primary recommendation and secondary recommendations were that an office be established within government. And it was done. So in 2003, a temporary establishment of an ANZA office was set up. 2004, Public Service Act was amended to establish the office permanently. 2011, ANZA was integrated within the Department of Communities, Culture, and now Tourism Heritage. And in 2021, an Associate Deputy Minister and CEO was appointed. And that individual is A.M. Dwayne Provo. And our mandate, number one, is advocacy, is to advocate for the interests of the African Nova Scotian community, not only within government, but within our sectors, within our communities, and to create and promote an integrated approach to government. And that is happening. And we are seeing some growth. We're seeing some successes within the government departments in supporting, and also collaboration, developing the communication and education strategies within government and within all of our offices throughout this province that have a tag on the door that says Nova Scotia with the Nova Scotian flag. Those offices have a responsibility to the African Nova Scotian community. And to represent government on initiatives and negotiations for the African Nova Scotian community. So those are a couple of our mandates. Our key focus areas are increase access, to build capacity and inspire action. We cannot access programs, services, and supports that we don't know they exist. And that's been one of the primary issues within the Black community. I've worked in community for 23 years. I've been involved in community since I was 17. So that wasn't yesterday. And even currently, in my role with ANSA, there are programs, services, and supports that I didn't know existed. Every day I find out there are new programs, new grants, new opportunities. So it's the access to the information. Now, I'm still transitioning. I say I'm still transitioning in this position because with the BEA, my role was same but different. I was able to be the front person. I still am. But I just have to be creative in how I do what I do now. I can't go in and fill out proposals and applications and write proposals and grants. One thing within our community, we have a gap in our human resources. So the few of us that are able to do the grant writing, to do the advocacy, we're pretty busy. But that is no longer my role. I love doing it, but it's no longer my role. So now what we have to do is build capacity within our community so that others have the ability to do. Inspire action. Once you get the information, you know how to use it, then I expect that action will be the next step. So those are our three focus areas. Our strategic outlook is centered around the African Nova Scotian community and Afrocentric knowledge and wisdom in planning and decision making. We have, in this province, we have everybody in key positions with skill sets, with knowledge, with experience that we need to move forward, to have a community that's self-sufficient, that's sustainable. There are barriers preventing that. Not that we don't have it. So it's nice to see what's happening in government now and allowing our Associate Deputy Minister to advise and to take his advice. ANSA works to ensure government services resources are available to our communities, and ensuring that our community's interests and needs are known to government, and support government efforts and services, and support and collaborate with organizations that seek an interest in African Nova Scotian communities, and to facilitate the provisions of services to all African Nova Scotians, regardless of your status, where you live. We're mandated to support all. We also collect data on how Black services are being served. That data is not good. It's not. So the fact that our ADM is at the table within government with deputy ministers, bringing forth the concerns that we raise, that community raise, that we're privy to. And supports programs and events that elevate Black people and their heritage and history and successes. One of the things we've been doing, and the hosting in Digby. The Digby Education Committee has hosted for, I think, this is their 14th year, is the Southwest African Heritage Month Gala, dinner and dance. And we invite all of our partners, our stakeholders, agencies, organizations, into that space. So they hear some of the things that you just heard about Portia White. It's about educating each other. It's about building knowledge. And it's about dispelling myths and checking our biases. So those events serve to elevate everyone's understanding of the Black community and the contributions and the significance and the history. I'm in Annapolis Royal. You guys have some of the most prominent history for the Black community. You know, when you talk about Rose Fortune, that's a key piece of Canadian history. Not just Annapolis, not just Black history. That's Canadian history. And I understand they did, Map Annapolis did looking for grave sites. Yes, thank you. You know, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's interesting. And I was planning to attend, but I had the day after the event in my agenda. So needless to say, I missed it, but that's exciting. As members of the municipal council, you should be excited. As regional staff, I believe there are 7 of us in the province. There's 3 more coming very soon. My region, as I said, is from Weymouth to Windsor. There will be a second person attached to the Digby office, and so we'll be at some point soon splitting this region. So I may be going to Middleton or Greenwood, and then someone else will have the responsibility. One thing that we do, excuse me, we're often set up for failure. Before I came on, the individual who has an office in Yarmouth covered from Lunenburg to Yarmouth and up to Windsor. It's impossible. That's an impossible region, not only geographically, but in terms of, you know, locating members in the Black communities and, you know, trying to pull all that together. So I'm here, so I've taken part of his jurisdiction, and then someone else is coming on soon to take part of mine. So we're growing, which means we have opportunity to reach more people in our community. So we connect with community, and then our information is plugged into government. And we work directly with the community. Our ADM and our managers take our information and move it into the Nova Scotia government's agenda. So we provide ANZA with the knowledge of the successes and barriers in various communities. One thing we do not do is we do not fund programs and services. What we do is ensure that the other 16 government departments do. So instead of, as I said, my scope of work has changed a bit from my previous position. So instead of calling you and saying, Warden Morrison, I got a call from Miss Jones and she has concerns. Now my job is to have Miss Jones call, and then I will follow up to to ensure that you're not only, that you're basically fulfilling your mandate. Every government department, at all levels of government, and every agency in this province, and the majority of NGOs, have a mandated responsibility to my community as they do yours. So it's to hold people accountable. It's not to do their work, because the other thing is, people will say, "Oh, just call Anza, they'll deal with it." Well, yeah, we'll deal with it when we've gone through the processes. But you need to deal with it because it's your responsibility. But we will follow up to see how well you did or didn't do. Again, we're not only here for community, we're here for you as well. To help with the information that you don't have and you don't know. I didn't often spend time, in Annapolis Royal area, but I will say that both of my grandparents, Clifford Francis and Ruth Butler, both came from one Carsdale, one Labs Cove. So my family roots, my fraternal family roots are here. And I just want to share this before I stop and see if anybody has a question before I sit down. My grandmother, Ruth Francis, was also taught school. She was one of the first black school teachers in this province. She graduated grade 12, wherever the school was here in Annapolis Royal, which gave her the opportunity to teach in community schools. So she taught in the community school of Conway, the black students from Conway, Jordantown, and Acadiaville. And when schools were integrated in the 50s, she didn't have her teaching certificate, so she got substitution work and went on to be the nanny of one of the prominent families in Digby. So she still had access to educate other people's children and those who were not from the African Nova Scotia community. Any questions before I?
Thank you, Brenda, for explaining the offers and making sure we understand. Are there any questions or comments? Now, how are you going to keep in touch with us, and how are we going to keep in touch with you? You and I dance around every once in a while?
Yes, that would be lovely. I will, excuse me, I'm in the process of going through your databases and your websites to see what program services you do offer throughout your jurisdiction, which is from Annapolis, Cornwallis, correct? To Bear River? Bear River to, where is it, Middleton?
Kings County line.
Thank you. So I'm also, meeting with members of community throughout my catchment area and talking with community to see what their needs are, what their issues are, what their challenges are. So what I then will do, excuse me, I don't have a cold. I've had this since November 11th. So I'm going through my 4-month process. So, excuse me.
We have mints here if you'd like to have a mint.
Thanks. Thank you. So what I will be doing is meeting with community members and encouraging them to contact their council member, to contact yourself. To see what you're doing, to see how the two can connect and how you can best support them and they can best support you.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Mr. Francis. Is it possible to get a quarterly or a monthly update about your organization sent through to us? Because I think it would be very good for us as council as well to take a minute and reflect to see what is happening and what the needs of our black brethren need. So I think that would be quite wonderful if we could get like a quarterly, a month, whatever, you know.
I got an email yesterday saying that we'll have a newsletter soon. That's in the process now of being developed. So that's something we could send you. I could also send you an update of anyone I'm meeting with in terms of issues, concerns raised. I may not specify who the individual is, unless of course they give me permission to do so. But in terms of the issues raised, I would love to be able to send that to you so that you're aware. I'd like to keep in contact with Warden Morrison as well, so that we can bridge some of these gaps that have been existed for a long time. And so that, and I know the Keelas, like most of our communities, are getting smaller for various reasons. And I think that we all have a responsibility to understand the reasons and to help. People don't stay in areas if there are no jobs. They don't come back to areas where there's no housing. So I guess for me, I'm going to ask this. When you're doing your strategic planning and looking at your strategic directions and goals, that you be mindful that there's a black community here, and that you be mindful that there's a black community over Annapolis and Granville area. And reach out to individuals in the community. Invite them in here to do what I just did. And I think that's, that's your starting point.
Good. Thank you. Thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A little bit chilly on the shoulders, Wendy.
I noticed.
Our second presentation this morning is being delivered by someone who's no stranger to this room, and who was a colleague of mine on council for a number of years, and is here today representing the Basin Aquatics Association. Bert McNeil. Have you still got the truck?
You haven't got that hit fixed yet? Big truck?
Yeah.
No, sold that years ago. Thanks everyone for...
I want to remind you, as you know, that we don't make decisions at this meeting. We'll take everything you want into account.
Yep. No, that's great. Thanks for allowing me, council members, staff. A lot of you I do know, a lot of you I don't know. I'm Bert McNeil. I was former chief of police here in Annapolis. I live over at Moshell. I'm here today representing the Basin Aquatic Association. And what that is the pool and the facilities that go with the pool, nothing else. As you know, I'm the chair. Our secretary-treasurer is Glenn McNeil, who lives in Cornwallis. One of the directors is Amanda Houston. Another is Norma Wombo and Merle Craig. Our council is Armstrong and Armstrong. Jordan Armstrong is our lawyer. We are a registered non-profit society. Our basic mission is to make sure the facility, to reclaim and reopen the Basin View pool. And that is for recreational health and fitness center for the community as well. All of you know 20 years ago, Annapolis County took on to have the pool built and everything else. I'm not going to go through that as much.
When the Lifeplex was 6.5 million, today we're looking at probably 14 million just to build that facility. Anyway, moving forward. It's an important part of our community, not just Cornwall. It's an important part of this whole county. There are people from as far away as Paradise and people from the Digby area as well that come to that facility. Mostly the pool. The walking track is another big thing there, but that has nothing to do with us at the pool. Moving forward, without dwelling too much on the past, we're basically, it's for the well-being and the health of the community, and not just Cornwallis. It's the community as a whole, Annapolis County as a whole. And we're glad to see that this council approved in 2022 the splash pad for down there in Cornwallis. It would be a big drawing card to the pool for parents with kids for the summer, the youth as well, and we're glad that that happened. What is the difference this time? In the past, the county was always on the hook. And for an unlimited amount of county-owned, for an unlimited amount as the county owned the building. In 2019, the county funded the YMCA to a sum of in excess of some $700,000. In that as well, because the county-owned building, taxes, water, occupancy tax, heating the pool, building repairs, and it is a list of long. Additionally, the council paid the YMCA in addition to the $50,000 fee, management fee. And to top it all, the county covered the annual deficit of the YMCA in sums of $200,000 per year. Now this will change. The county no longer owns the building. The county now collects property taxes, building together with water and sewer charges. Basin Aquatic Association is seeking a predetermined budget from the recreational grant requested is vital to the Basin Aquatic Association. It's hard for me to get around the Aquatic Association. To start the process of opening and operating the aquatic facility as a nonprofit association for the behalf of the community. Previously, the YMCA's costs were burdened by the gym, sparsely attended free activity programs. Now the Basin Aquatics is entirely aquatic, as I said. This is what the community desperately needs and wants. The people of the community will support a focused and properly managed aquatic facility that has been made available to the community. What are their costs? Well, as we know, the pool when it was built was $6.5 million. Today it will be $14 million. To operate and maintain the Basin swimming pool and its facilities require enormous sums of money. Nova Scotia has the highest cost of electric in Canada, 17.1 cents per kilowatt hour. We reviewed the past occupancy costs of the Basin Youth Center that were paid by the county. The committee also examined 2019 financial statement of the YMCA, wherein it shows the YMCA deficit was funded by the county. These funds were in addition to all the occupancy costs that are being paid directly by the county. The committee, have basically the financial statement estimates the annual cost of the Basin Aquatic Association to $800,000. That figures up to $2,200 per day. This includes the occupancy costs, the operating costs of the association. Again, the documents of the previous operation were available to the committee to calculate things. The committee also carried out a survey of the community and to gauge the financial support of the community and provide by way of membership fees. The committee has extrapolated the contribution to $500,000. This amount is greater than the membership fee collected by the YMCA in 2019. After having conducted our due diligence for costs and reclaiming and reopening the Basin Center Aquatic Facility, Basic Aquatic Association seeks a grant for the year 2023 of $300,000, and the members of the association will pay the balance of the cost, estimated at $500,000. The request for the grant should be compared to a grant given to Basin Wellness Center and its association in 2005, which was $250,000. Our request, we feel, is modest, given the fact that 18 years since the first grant cost has increased substantially. The Basin Aquatic Association is being very responsible for the cost, and that it has held the Basin Aquatic Association will operate to ensure long-term security of the tenure. The community must get back to the swimming pool. Built for the community, it was part of the community over 15 years. The committee took the initiative to get back to the facility forever. The association has the option to get a 25-year lease. The county previously incurred annual costs of $600,000 was on the hook for a limited amount of cover the untold repairs that were needed. Now the sum is substantially less. Furthermore, the county has no liabilities for the swimming pool. The community will be on its own, sink or swim. Without the grant, the swimming pool facility cannot be opened. Basic Aquatic Association will be dissolved. The members of the board will resign. The benefits of the Aquatic Association, the community cannot be overstated. We've learned in talking with people that have moved to the Cornwallis area in particular. The main reason they moved there was the YMCA still built there, so it was a place of fitness, to swimming, there's been a lot of money going into the pool already. I don't know exactly what it is, but the amount yet. But anyway, it's ready to be filled. It's just now we need assistance.
Thanks, Bert.
Any questions? I'll try to answer them as best as I can.
Councilor Lombard.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bert, for the presentation there. I don't need to go into the history of the past, but I do know the importance of the facility and all that it has given and granted the persons that have visited the site. I was as well a Lifebucks member years ago, and my children swam for the winter swim team there. So it's been a wonderful place. Moving forward, I'm just wondering, curious, if you have entered into any conversations with Digby County as well.
Not at this time. It is on our mind. Okay, but at this time, no, we haven't. So.
Additional comments?
That's okay.
My head this way. Councilor Brown.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Bert. To follow up on Councillor Longmire's question, I was thinking about and I don't know, maybe you've approached these or you're in the process of it. I'm thinking of the provincial government, the federal government, town of Digby, municipal units, Annapolis Royal, Middleton. I knew people in the day who came from Middleton down there, along with maybe some of the provincial departments.
This has been the first step. Has been here. It is on our radar to approach the province, to approach the federal government as well. We will also be touching base with Digby. I don't know if we'll go to Middleton that far or not. It is on our radar, and we're also on our radar as corporate sponsors. So we're going slow, baby steps, if you will. This is new to me, and I know the rest of our committee is all new to them too. So,
I mean, it's very, it's an interesting idea, and I think one that has value certainly for our own county. I guess, you and I sat side by side when a lot of this, I came late to the show, but I remember the figures that you were quoting, and I can remember.
The biggest problem that was found with the pool was it was never installed to the manufacturer's recommendation.
There was PVC pipe put in there that should have never been in there. And we know what it costs there for all the undermining they did under the schools as well. So there's been quite a bit of money going to that from the center itself, not from us.
Councilor Sherry?
Thank you, Bert. Appreciate your presentation. So my question is, how much do you estimate per year that you'll need to keep the pool up?
Right now, all I can tell you is 800,000 this year. This year, but
that's not it.
Whether that will evolve or whether that will get lower, a lot is going to depend on memberships. So like I said, we did a survey and we were modest in, for the amount of surveys we got back, we were modest in what we took as possible guesses, okay? So it was a very, very good survey, and we had a huge response. So right now, I mean, could it go down? Possible.
So is some of the cost to get it up and right, like to do repairs and things? Is that part of the 800?
Well,
or is it actual?
Ultimately, I suspect we're going to have to pay something on those repairs. Right now, it's been the Basin Youth Center, that company that has paid the repairs. I suspect. I can't tell you yes, I can't tell you no.
So I'm just trying to put this out there because I'm not sure, but so you're saying basically that it does cost approximately $800 to run that Olympic-sized pool? Is that what I understand? I'm just trying to understand.
It's what we're talking about here too. It's the swimming pool. It's the kids' pool.
Okay.
There's also the pool that the massage therapists use for therapy, and there is a hot tub and a sauna there as well.
But this is what you're estimating annually is $800,000 for all the pools.
All that's associated with the aquatic center, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Connell?
Hey, Bert. You spoke about membership. If a person was to take out a membership, what would that detail? Would that be the use of the whole aquatic facility?
It'd be for the use of the whole aquatic center. Okay.
And how much a year is that membership?
Oh Lord. This is Carl.
So for annual family membership, on buying an annual buy, we're looking at about $820, I believe it was, per annum. That includes 2 adults as well as limited children under 18. As far as, we have other levels of membership too, and just so you guys all are aware, this is currently available, this information on Basin Center's website, under the aquatic side actually, side of the site, as well as the survey. So all of the levels are there, including in them are also your aquatics, aqua size, if you will. Swimming lessons, we do have to do those separately. Those are going to be a separate fee. It is not tied to this Basin Fitness. I need to make that super clear as well. We are definitely treating these as 2 separate entities. Community doesn't love that, but that's something that, as an aquatics association, in order to make this sustainable, that we had to separate the two of them. I hope that helps. Did that answer your question?
I asked my question, but comparison that I have a daughter that pays $500 a month for one swimmer.
Yeah, at the federal pool in Greenwood.
No, in Halifax.
In Halifax, yes. But I think too, you've got to understand that that's population-wise is what we're dealing with here. And the area of Lower Saxon alone would open up us twofold at least.
Yes, but I'm still saying it's costing her to pay $500 a month per one child. One child, $500 a month.
A month.
So, I understand $800 in this area is a lot of money. But I still understand that other parts of the province, people are paying for the facilities. Because obviously paying $500 a month for that one kid to go swimming, competition swimming, in a competition lane pool It's very costly.
And it's just the pool.
Just a pool.
Well, like you say, it's competitive swimming too. That's where it comes in. It's the same hockey. It's the same dam. I mean, I have a nephew that's $1,000 for a 9-year-old to play hockey and ticket.
Any further comments, questions? I just want to say, as we all know, we get lots of telephone calls, and we don't get many chances to put a face to the people who call. I'm glad that Marlo was here today and reminded me that we had a conversation last year. Thank you. Thanks, Bert. We'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Do our budget preparation.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you guys. Good to see you. Take care.
Okay, we need to be back here no later than 1:30 because we've got a presenter coming in. Good afternoon. We are resuming our committee of the whole meeting, and I would like a motion, please, to go into an in-camera session under 22(2)E contract negotiations. Councillor Sheridan, Deputy Warden, discussion, all in favor?
Yes.
We will now resume our session. Item 6.12, page 116. This is an information report. Are we ready to move on?
No, I'll ask a question.
Please.
In regards to, this is the fire services review, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
It's just an update. So will it be brought forth again because we requested a review for fire services, or is this all we're gonna get?
No, this is an update as to where they are now.
Okay, so there'll be more coming. Okay, thank you.
Okay? Item 6.13, finance initiatives update. Sorry, 138. Okay? We all set?
Sure.
Item 7.1, Trans-County Transfer.
You missed one.
Sorry, CAO report.
You have to go by the agenda, not by the
Please.
Thank you. So I really just want to talk for a couple minutes about preparation for the capital budget and the operation budget. Those are clearly the two biggest business items for our organization right now. They're certainly the most important things for staff. They've probably been the biggest thing for staff to work on. So at this point, council has the proposed capital budget, and it'll be fully presented on February the 17th, this Friday. So in that meeting, staff will fully present it to council, answer all questions, and then we can go from there with whatever council needs. If you have asks for changes or additional information, we can then deal with them accordingly. And I guess what I want to say is similar for the operation budget. The operation budget is more detailed, bigger, a lot more research goes into it. We're currently working actively on that. Our finance department has made a variety of templates for different departments and business units for all measurable things, processes, staff. people and any projects, any purchases that would fall under operational. We currently have templates out there that are all being populated and reviewed. Our executive team meetings are regularly reviewing that data as it comes in and qualifying it or making interim decisions about what's reasonable and appropriate to include in the budget to bring to council. So in March, council will see the operating budget on a date TBA. We just have to pick the date for it. We have to finish our internal work to prepare the budget for you. And then we'll go through the same process that there'll be a date that all councillors can attend where we'll do a complete presentation of the budget. You'll get a copy. I think it's 5 days. We'll just say way ahead of time for the moment. Given that it's bigger, I think we will try and get it even more days than you have for the capital budget. We'll do a complete presentation of that, answer council questions, and then we'll take it from there as council needs. If council needs to ask questions, wants adjustments, we'll work through that process and support council. The operation budget, our expectation is to have it finished and in front of you during the month of March. Yes, Councillor.
I spent a while talking to our advisor, and I sent an email out a while ago and got no response. And I sent it out wrong because it's not my job to know who's in a position, but it is my job as a councillor to know how many jobs are in each department to make a financial decision on wages for that department. So somewhere along the way, we can go through a lot of discussion the day of the report, because every time we come to a department, my questions are going to be is how many bodies are in that department, and I'm going to look at the financial for salaries. Or it can be a small report sent out to us. I don't care who's sitting in the seat, because that's not my decision. But it is my decision as a councillor doing the budget for the county to know how many positions we put in the budget for the county staff. So you can make it quick and send me out. We've been told this previous year that through some of the studies we're doing that we have 47 employees. When we get to the budget and we ask each department, and it adds up 48, I'm going to want to know why there's 48 positions instead of what we've been told 47. It can be simply sent out ahead so we can know that so we don't have to ask all them questions. We can just do the math, or you can have a lot of questions that day. Okay. But I have been talking to Halifax, and it is our right to know how many positions we are paying for employees in this county, because it's our decision if we put that much in the budget. Because I've been told many, many times by a previous warden that we only have one final kick at the can. And when that operational budget is passed, it's the CAOs. If we don't want something to happen, council has to stand the ground and take it out of the budget. So I'm going to be very adamant that I want to know how many people's working in each department. And I want myself, I'll take the time and compare numbers of seats in that department against the wages we're paying out for that department. And I realize that when we go through the process, that we're going to have staff say, well, 50% of this seat is taken out of recreation. 50% of that seat, that person does something else. It comes out of another department. We've gone through this for 20-some years I've been on council. I still can do it my own addition. And in the end, if you guys are saying we have 47 employees, that's what I want to see for salary. I don't want to see salary for 50 employees, because in my mind is that if we're looking to hire somebody throughout the year, The CAO has the right to come to council any given time and ask, I would like to hire this person, can we find the money? To me, I'd rather go to the reserves and find the money at the time if it's needed versus padding an expense account, allowing for an extra employee to be hired on discretion of the CAO without council even knowing. So I'm just giving you a heads up that that's what I'm looking for. And I sent an email out and I've got no response. And that was probably 3 weeks ago.
Okay. I'd like to respond. I can probably help you with some information right now. So in the orientation sessions we're going to do for staff, each department manager is going to talk to you about, their list of people and whatever one does. We currently have 47 positions, but I believe our correct number of employees is 53 because there are a few places where it's more than one person doing the same thing, especially in public works. But that's information that you will see. Last year's budget did have money in it for 2 directors that were unstaffed or were becoming unstaffed. The director of finance was retiring, but the budget was approved with that full amount in it. So we can look at issues like that and discuss that carefully with this year's budget to make sure that you understand that and agree with it per the point you're just saying.
Well,
or then if you don't like it being in there when you don't.
It causes chaos when all of a sudden a constituent comes up and says, can we just hire somebody? And we say, we don't know. Because once the budget is passed, it's the right of the CAO to do with the funding within that budget. It's our job to make sure the budget is what we want. And that's what I want. That's my concern. But my concern was that I sent an email out. I might have worded it wrong because we do not have the right to know who's in that seat. And I asked for the names who works in each department. I don't care who it is. All I want to know is there's 3 full-time positions, 1 half-time position. So I can do analysis on what it should be, roughly wages.
Just for my own clarification, if I may, just based on what you just said, Doug, in the organizational chart that is forecast, right? And we will have that in advance of the operating budget?
The answer, essentially, yes. Essentially, you mean the Gerald Walsh study?
Yeah.
What he's already told you, what a firm conclusion of his is and his recommendation to us is that we have those 4 pillars.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's something that we'll talk more too about your orientation meeting as well.
Okay. No, I guess just on what Councillor Cotw said, I'm interested in more than just the number of heads too. Okay. That's all I'll say on that.
So you'll spring the surprise when we...
No.
But you said you're interested in more. But
more, yeah. Like I would want to know each department, okay, how many people work in that department and what are the positions within that department.
Okay.
We got a wonderful organizational chart here a few years ago, and I think it was in the CAO, and nice little lines over, almost like a family tree. It was a wonderful thing. And that's what we're expecting to see again. It's not 4 pillars. I'm not interested in seeing a chart that has Annapolis County in some sort of ledge held up in the air by 4 pillars. That makes no sense to me. I need to see a flow chart that says there's the CAO, there's this county head, or that department head, that department head, that department head in there, and this is what's underneath them. And these are the positions that are underneath them. I'm not interested in anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. It's kind of like we're all over the place trying to imagine what it is that we have. And coming into crunch time, budget time, making sense out of some of the details that we're trying to collect, be it the, Mr. Walsh's organizational chart. I don't suspect that we're going to make any radical changes on what that organizational chart as it currently stands is before budget. And again, we don't know who our full-time CAO is going to be. We're moving closer to that. So there's so many parts to this whole business that just isn't tidy at this point. And I think it comes down to the efficiencies, like Councillor Cotw and Councillor Gunn has just said. We don't have the right to say who sits in the seats, and I want to be clear on that. But more importantly, I think it's the efficiencies of those seats, and that those persons that sit within those seats are fundamentally equipped with the ability to perform that job to the best of their abilities. And so that's the hard part is not putting too much. You don't want to put too much money in the pot to say, go ahead and do a whole bunch of whatevers just because work needs to get caught up or done. That doesn't show us efficient. And so it's hard not seeing what that organizational chart is going to look like so that you can trust that the process we follow will result in efficiencies within the organization, right? So it just seems like there's a lot of stuff trying to come together all at once to give us confidence to be able to direct that budget, if it makes sense.
Sure. Don, I can answer further, or do you want to comment as well on the George Walsh project and its org chart? Or we are going to talk about it with you during the orientation session, so maybe we should do that first and then see if there's further questions.
Good point.
I would make one comment. One of the things that may look like we're trying to not be forthcoming with information is that we don't want to confuse you by realignment of departments. So, for example, let's use recreation. Recreation might not be under the same department in the new org chart, but there's no significant change to the number of employees that will be. And so we're just trying to be mindful that we're not confusing you by providing the org chart now, and then you see something entirely different as far as where they align under departments. But I think you're going to get a lot of information at the orientation tomorrow that will help analyze that and provide more information to you.
That's great.
Orientation 15, Capital Budget Friday. Like I said, and that's one concluding statement I want to make. And, myself and senior staff have been, as we've talked about budgets, we've been pledging, we want this to be the clearest, most detailed, most valuable budget process you've ever seen. We want you to get to the end of it and say, wow, we really felt this was a great budget, logical recommendations were made, prudent recommendations were made, good projects were put forward, it was clear, it was transparent, it added up. We really want you to come to the end. It's really our goal that you come to the end of this process feeling that staff put together a great series of materials for you.
Anything else for the CAO on this report? Okay, we'll move on to page 138, please.
141.
That was the section information. No, you finished it, and then you gotta go on to number 7, and just get over it done.
All right, 141. Comments? Questions?
Awesome.
Thank you. (142) Nominating committee recommendations. That would be me. Councilor Hall.
Okay, here are the recommendations for the Bridgetown Social Order of Protection. I move that Municipal Council appoint Robert A. Bacon and C. Stephen Clayton as a citizen member members of the Bridgetown Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, satisfying Section 28D of the policy for a 2-year term ending November 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Seconder? Councilor Hudson? Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Against? Motion carried.
I move that Municipal Council appoint John Osborne as a citizen member of the Bridgetown Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, satisfying Section 28C of the policy for a 2-year term ending November 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Hudson. Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is for the Granville Ferry Source Water Protection. I move that Municipal Council appoint Charles Stewart as a citizen member of the Granville Ferry Source Water Protection Advisory Committee, satisfying Section 28E of the policy for a 2-year term ending November 30th, 2024.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Bartow. Discussion?
Thank you so much. So Charles lives in Lakita, but he's a customer of the Granville Ferry Water, that's it? Source Water Protection? Nobody's here for that?
Councilor Bartow?
That fits the criteria on the policy.
That's what I was looking for. That means so he's a client of it, so he can be a part. Okay, thank you. Good. Glad to see him on board.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Against? Motion carried. Thank you. 7.3, Fire Services Committee recommendations. Councilor Conrad, please.
Do we give an overview first or a bunch of recommendations on the floor?
Pardon me?
Do I give an overview or a report on the fire services first or do I give
Motion's on the floor.
give the motion on the floor? First motion, I'll do one motion at a time. First motion is the municipal council start the fire service review and that the request for proposal be put out by the end of February 2023.
One there.
I know. I would move that to March, but I'll wait for a second and then I'll explain.
Second. Councilor Hudson. Discussion.
Yes. We got an update, fire service review update. It's very clear if you read through that update, the amount of time it's going to take to do a fire service review. If it's going to be done in this term of council, we've got to get our head out of our back. And I feel 150% that if we're going to do a fire service review, we only do 3/4 of it, and then the next council has to come in new, try to figure out what's the proper way to deal with it. I think we'd be wasting our time, energy, and efforts. So, in the previous motion that we asked staff to put to do a fire service review, there was no date put on it. So it's been delayed. We have less than 2 years to go. If we don't soon put out an RFP to find out who out there is interested in doing the review, also the 3 executive members of fire services, which are fully versed on most of what Nova Scotia firefighters are involved in and other reviews that have been done in Nova Scotia, they would like to have a little bit of input on who we get back that's interested in doing the reviews. They know better than any of us know. They know who the consultants that have done other jurisdictions, which consultants have done good jobs, which consultants have done bad jobs. They would like to have a little bit of input in who we get apply and who we decide to go with. Again, we can delay it until next November. All I'm saying is that it's not gonna get done if we keep delaying it. And I feel it's very unfair to our fire services, which is all volunteer, to do half of it and then wait for the next council to come in and try to figure out how to finish it. I would like to have it done before I'm done in 2024. So I'm putting a proposal that an RFP at least put out to see who's out there interested in doing a fire service review. At least, I know that February's close, so I would like to make it March, the end of March 2023.
That's an amendment.
I'll make that amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I need a seconder for that amendment?
What is the amendment?
Change February to March.
That we put out the review and trust that the request and proposal be put out by the end of March 2023.
May I invite Ms. Campbell to comment on that? She might be able to give you some advice on timing or details there.
I was going to say, I think we're all on the same page. We were happy this year because it wasn't in the budget, but we have been trying to do all the legwork that hasn't cost anything under the budget. Cheryl's report also said that they needed the input from Fire Services Association, and we would be looking for more guidance from council probably at next month's meeting in regards to the scope. So there are probably about 7 areas of examination, and we'll be looking for direction on things like, do you just want to deal with funding, do you want to deal with services provided, do you want to deal with registration, do you want to deal with training, those kinds of questions. We'll be looking for to be able to complete the RFP process.
If I may, if we have that discussion when at next month's council or committee of the whole?
Whatever CAO guides us to.
So it's
I'm concerned if we, sometime in March, have that discussion. At the end of that discussion, are you going to have enough time to get the RFP out by the end of March?
I'm going to say hopefully yes. It's ambitious, but I think we all have the same will to get it done, and it will take a number of months, please, so we are anxious to get going.
question.
Okay, we have an amendment to the motion that says by the end of March 2023. We've had indications that there is a possibility that that might not happen.
Although I think it's ambitious, I think we can get the RFP issued. We wouldn't have the consultant chosen.
Oh, no, just the RFP.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not clear on who moved and seconded the amendment to the motion.
I moved.
Councillor Gunn.
I'm not sure who seconded it.
No one yet.
Councillor Pardo.
And you're talking about it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. At the end of that, I almost forget what I was going to say. It couldn't have been that important. Fire services. Yes, should we be setting a special meeting sometime in March to sit down for a couple of hours and talk about what, maybe at the first part of March, to talk about what we would like to see covered in the fire services review as councillor, because that mention was just...
I'm seeing lots of thumbs up as an answer for you, yes, so we'll book that.
So I'm just putting that in there. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Would you like to read the amendment, please?
Yes, Councillor Gunn moves, seconded by Councillor Bardo, to amend the motion to change February to March.
2023.
Changed. The motion was fixed and read as 2023. So the amendment is to change February to March.
Question? Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Against? Motion carried.
Second motion.
On the motion is amended.
Yes. Would you like to read that, please?
It was moved by Councillor Connell, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that municipal council start a fire services review and that a request for proposal be put out by the end of March 2023.
Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Against? Motion carried. Councillor Connell.
I move that municipal council look at giving the fire department emergency funding to help with the costs of things that have increased during the past year and to be reviewed yearly in November until the review is complete.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion. Councillor Connell.
Last month, I think we passed a motion to give Valley Waste extra funding because of the cost of diesel fuel and insurance and other things combined. An hour ago, we passed an additional cost to King's Transit for diesel fuel, insurance, and other costs have gone up. Our volunteer fire departments are in the same position as those other departments. Other counties have already stepped forward. I think 2 other counties was brought to our attention at Fire Services. They've stepped forward and gave each fire department a little extra funding to help them get through the winter season, to help with their heat cost and their diesel fuel. I think that we should be looking at staff to look into it. I think staff already has looked into the 2 other counties that have given them some portion. Fire Services related back that they know they haven't used their dry hydrant money. So there may be even money within the fire service budget that we could rearrange to give them a little extra funding for this year. I told them that we would put a motion on the floor to see what council thought about it, but we definitely wouldn't put it on that it was a continuous thing. That if the review is not completed by the end of this year, then we would look at it again in November for next season if diesel fuel stays up, insurance rates stay up. COVID has caused a lot of grief in a lot of our volunteer groups. The funding wasn't, the opportunities for funding wasn't there. I know the 50-50 draw for fire departments has been a miracle for most fire departments. But in all fairness, they're running on an agreement that was several years old, and they get CPI increase every year. You alluded to that this morning, is that has nothing to do with real life. Reality is shot to death on that. So I would just like to see staff come back with some kind of an idea on, do we take like a 5% of their annual budget, operating budget, and give each department a 5% increase for this year, or do we look at what the other counties do? I'd like for staff to come back with a suggestion to us for next committee of the whole.
I have a question.
I'm going to preempt.
Okay.
This says that municipal council look at giving.
I agree.
And there's no date here. So, Councillor Connell, the way this is worded is that we would need a session of council to talk about this. And
I guess I was putting it through to the council meeting next week.
Make an amendment.
Councillor Sheridan.
So could we make an amendment that suggests that municipal council have staff bring back a report in regards to upping the emergency funding to help the fire department, something along that line, just to add staff report in there.
What are you here?
Yeah, me too.
It changes the whole thing, doesn't it? It's like you want to give it, and now you want a staff report. So
Well, you
have
can
a-
withdraw your motion, we'll make a new.
Yes, that would be
If
better.
it's easier.
Make that just kid.
Make a new motion.
All right, let's take a quick 5-minute break. Welcome back. Councillor Cotw, do I understand you wish to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, well, they had an amended motion there or something.
No,
I made a motion, you just said.
Who's on first?
Thank you, Councillor Cotw.
Councillor Cotw withdraws his motion.
I agree with that. Second draft.
No.
Only the mover.
If you're speaking theologically, once the mover withdraws the motion, there is nothing upon which you can act because it is not there.
We did it wrong before.
Normally the vote
So the new motion,
The clerk will read.
Is to request that staff bring a report to March Committee of the Whole outlining options for providing additional funding in this fiscal year to each fire department to help cover increased costs incurred over the past year.
Moved by Councillor Khan, seconded by Councillor Gunn, and I understand Ms. Campbell would like to talk. She's going to with us next week.
I was just going to say that, actually. So, just for clarity, because we don't have any residual money for the fire services offering, so whatever option we bring forward would be consideration for that budget expenditure, and there would have to be direction where that money would come from. That's the number one thing, right? The second point, I guess, that I would like to make is I think the two biggest increases in cost for most fire departments were both fuel and insurance. But the increases aren't the same for each department depending on how many calls they go on. So does it need to be scaled dependent on the call volume? Yes. And then my last question is this going to be a one-time thing, or should it be built in cumulatively for consideration in next year's budget?
Councillor Khan?
we're on the understanding with fire service that 2 other counties have already done this. So why invent the wheel? Cheryl has down, I think, the 2 counties that they spoke with. One was King, one was Cumberland or something. 2 other counties have already given emergency funding. They're not asking for it to be in a budget every year because you don't know if it's going to be the same amount. They'd like to have it reviewed until the full review is done, because I'm assuming when a full review is accomplished, we're probably going to have a new payment system on how much their operating costs have gone up. That'll be all in the review. But if it doesn't get done by next November, they would like to have it reviewed again. Not that it's automatically assumed again. We bring it back to the table in November, a year's time, and say, okay, we haven't got a review done, diesel fuel's still up, insurances are still up.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Virgil.
It was mentioned on it for call base, but every call is different. Length of time, number of vehicles, everything else is different, so it would have to have a different calculation on that to be better.
Thank you. Any other comments? Deputy Warden.
So it was fire services before, to remember, change around. I seem to recall them talking about furnace oil costs. Was that not then, or?
Yeah.
Because that would be a little more fixed, is my thought, than, say, call response. I'm trying to remember our calculation is calls maybe protected equipment. No, it's just equipment. Maybe I don't remember what our calculation is. To me, I think staff is quite capable of making a little bit of a judgment call about what is reasonable. And I'm content to leave it in staff's very capable hands. Now that we've given them directions, that we're happy to spend some dollars. If other councillors want to put, if we're going to, as a council, talk about what we want to spend and what we want to give them a benefit, maybe stay out of the weeds of who gets what, and maybe more about a general dollar amount we would be happy to give fire services. But then again, I have no idea what that would be. So I'm back to, I'm thinking as I talk. I'm back to happy to wait to see what staff recommends next month. Then we can go about the weeds of that.
I'm glad you and I agree.
Yes.
Councillor Allmark.
And I was just gonna, that was said so well, so thank you, Deputy Warden, for that. I couldn't think of another service I want to fight hard for. This is an important one. Volunteers at that, and give us endless, so yes, thanks.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Collins.
So I guess a little confusion I'm having is that we just passed to give King's Transit an extra $80-some thousand. Isn't that at a budget cost?
Yes.
It's no different than what we're asking for fire service.
No, no.
I just got confused there thinking that.
I know what's happening. Some folks are refusing to take yes for an answer. Okay, all in favor, oh, sorry, Councillor Hudson.
Fire service, that's a very critical and very important service that we have in the county. In respect to this, I see some urgency in getting additional funding out to the departments, right? And my thoughts on it would be, let's do something. You put it over to a staff report, and then it's going to go on and on. They need this money, right away, right? I'm not trying to get ahead anything, but I think we should make a definite recommendation today. My recommendation would be is that along these lines, that we give each fire department emergency funding, perhaps equal to 5% of their present annual funding, to support their extra costs, right? That's my view on it.
Thank you.
That is something urgent that should be dealt with now.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Well done. We are now on item 9.1. Councillor Sheridan, please.
I move that municipal council dissolve the CAO review committee.
Seconded by Councillor Longmire. I wish to speak because I made a mistake when I asked that we establish a CAO review committee. It is not the right instrument for carrying out the task assigned to us. So I ask for your indulgence and hope that you will agree with the motion. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Sheridan.
I move that we establish a CAO review working group.
And seconded by Councillor Dunn. And my understanding is that that would be composed of those who were on the now dissolved
Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to add that.
committee. That is the warden, the deputy warden, Councillor Sheridan, and Councillor Longmire.
Sorry.
Councillor Cotw.
I feel it should be all council.
It will be. The committee will draft a document and come to council, and council will decide.
I understand that. But what I employee, is it is yours?
Yes.
So to be not in the report or in the time of looking into what the work would be asking or searching for, we get a report back, we've missed a portion of that, and knowing what questions were asked, what direction is given. I just feel that the CAOs are only employee as council. I feel that we should be at the ground floor as much as anybody in this room.
Thank you. Any other comment? All in favor? Thank you.
Is that a motion to establish CAO working? Is that all it says?
No.
We don't have a formal motion.
Well, yes, we have. And the working group will be composed of the people who were on the now dissolved committee.
So you were added that to.
No, I said it's my understanding.
Yeah.
It's my call.
That's what I'm saying. Is that part of the motion?
Sure, why not?
Well,
You wish to make an amendment?
No. I just want to
And I clarified it. Thank you.
Because more important, because it was important in the early stages instead of what's brought to the council. If you're getting rid of one committee and replacing it with the same committee, you know what?
No, we're not replacing it.
What's the guidelines?
Renaming it.
We are renaming it.
So it's already there.
You've already voted.
No, it's not before we vote.
Well, the hands were raised all around the place. All those in favor? Opposed? 2. Thank you very much. We are now, I would like a motion, please, that municipal council meet in camera in accordance with section 22(2)A, acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property, and E, contract negotiations of the Municipal Government Act.
excuse me, and personnel.
That's right, and personnel. Second, Councillor Longmire moves. Councillor Prout seconds. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Against? We are now back in open session, and I declare the meeting.